Welcome to the CPO Rising podcast series brought to you by Products That Count, the world's largest nonprofit community, engaging over 500,000 product managers and chief product officers united by a mission to empower everyone to build products that truly count. In a world flooded with products, only a few ignite passion, deliver value at scale, and transform lives. Behind those exceptional products are visionary CPOs and high-performing product teams. We recognize these trailblazers through our coveted awards, accelerate careers from PM to the C-suite and beyond through daily best practices, and serve as the trusted advisor to nearly all Fortune 1000 CPOs. Our corporate alliance includes Walmart, Ford, Cisco, Johnson & Johnson, Amplitude, and more. The most admired product leaders across industries serve on our advisory council, guiding the future of product leadership. Together, we're shaping a future where every product counts. Learn more at productsthatcount.org. Produced in partnership with Capgemini and Mighty Capital, this series brings you exclusive conversations between our resident CPO, Renee Niemi, and the 2025 CPO Award winners. Get ready for raw insights, real strategies, and the secrets behind their success. Let's get into it.
Well, good afternoon. I have with me today Jean-Claude Viollier. He is the Executive Vice President at Capgemini and a very strategic partner of Products That Count. Jean-Claude, it's so great to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure, Renee.
Listen, I have been really looking forward to our conversation. As you know, we've been working together over the last year, really elevating, finding the best chief product officers in the world and getting under the covers to see like what are the trends, what are they thinking about, and we're going to kind of uncover some of those insights today. But before we do this, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do at Capgemini.
Absolutely. So I'm Jean-Claude Viollier. I work for Capgemini and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm originally from France and I moved to California in 2000. And my mission is really to help my Capgemini clients to get the future they want. I have always focused on growth and transformation, and they have been always my top priorities since I started with Capgemini and my prior life. What can I say? I'm a marathon runner and got 4 boys and a lovely wife, and we live here in the Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
That's me.
Oh, amazing. Well, we were just talking about spring is upon us, which
Yes.
is amazing. The weather has been so good lately. One of the things that I really appreciate about our partnership and honestly appreciate about your particular role specifically is that you get to interface with so many product leaders of
Yes.
all genres, both, very
Yes.
technology centered, very, CEOs as well as product centered. So you've probably seen the role of product leadership in general change really dramatically over the past 5 years. I'd love for you to paint a picture of that change. What did it look like? What's changed, and what are the results of that?
Yes. You're right. This role of product leadership has been really evolving and changing over the past, I would say, past 5 years, probably. And I started my career as a product manager in the tech industry. So I have seen this role evolve, change, and it has evolved from a very fragmented responsibility to a very crucial customer-focused and C-suite position. It was not C-suite in the past; it was before, and I think it's become really a CXO position in the industry, and it's even becoming sometimes a springboard to the job of CEO. If you think about it, I know more and more chief product officers that are being really seen as the future CEO of the company, and just that means that this job has really been evolving and taking more and more predominance in the industry.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, it's really interesting. As you know, together we've been tracking the role of chief product officer. We learned last year that, gosh, a full one third of our previous year's winners had been promoted to, if not CEO, president, COO.
Mhm.
And a lot of what we observe is the fact that these chief product officers are just they're no longer, tech focused or even, solely, customer solution focused. They're really business
Yes,
focused. So it's the fact
yes.
that they understand the tech, they certainly obsess with the customer, but they understand how to make money. They understand the role of finance. They literally play almost like a symphony orchestrator of
Mhm.
of business, which prepares them, right? Really
Yeah,
good.
you're absolutely right. I think most of these chief product officers now are overseeing. I like your I like the word orchestrator because I think this is really what it is. You're talking product strategy, you're talking product development, execution of that product development, still very important, but also acting as a bridge between technology, business needs, and customer expectations. And as you say, it's like the conductor of a symphony orchestra, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm very close to symphony orchestras because I'm a cello player, so I know how it works. I know how it works in an orchestra, definitely.
I did not know you were a cello player, so I just learned 2 new things. I actually didn't know you started your career as a product manager as well. So, perfect analogy. I love that. I also feel like what they're tracking, like in terms of metrics, once upon a time, it's like, they were worried about NPS. They still worry about NPS, to truth be told. They
Yeah.
still worry about engagement, but but now with this expanded reality, they're starting to, track to more business metrics, including revenue and profit, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You know,
Um,
innovation
yes.
has such a big role in profit of organizations, and especially with the advent of AI, it's really innovation is accelerating at light speed. I'd be interested to see, from your vantage point, are you what are you seeing in that front?
So I think this is part of the challenges that are. If I look at the future, with the integration of Gen AI into the product strategies and product development processes, I think chief product officers are going to be facing new challenges and at the same time new opportunities. Um, so we can already see it. First, I think the first challenge also can be an opportunity is focusing on data-driven decision making. So,
Mhm.
which means making sure that all the large and vast amount of data that are in a company um, are actually available and organized enough to feed all these new AI models that people are creating. So I think first is around data driven decision making.
Mhm.
The other thing is these CPOs or chief product officers, we have to focus on AI driven innovation, which means that they will have to develop future products that are not only innovative but also predictive, and that's going to be a huge challenge and huge opportunity for them in the future. And finally, and I see it with our Capgemini engineering services team, which is really focused on uh, designing the product of the future for our clients. I think more and more you can see a focus on user experience and experience engineering. I see it everywhere. So that part is growing, I think, for our chief product officers. Um, and experience engineering is kind of a new buzzword that we see now since 1 or 2 years, but it is clearly to create that user experience linked to any product strategy, which is going to be key for these chief product officers. Um, and of course, you will always have the ethics, the regulations. But if I were a chief product officer and I was focused, I would focus on the future on data driven decisions, AI driven innovation, and user experience and experience engineering.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You know, I was having just even this morning a conversation with a CPO. This particular one was in the enterprise software space, but we were just talking about the pace of change and what's really changed over the last 5 years. She goes, even 5 years ago, I didn't have the data, the analytics to actually
Yes,
understand my users. And she says, she goes, now that all of that's embedded into the daily workflow, that the pace of change and innovation and learnings and insights is really changed how she leads.
yes, yes,
It's super, super high impact. Question for you, are you seeing an increase in the pace of innovation?
yes, every day. Um, and it's not only about technology. I see it in the mindset of our clients. I can see it in within our Capgemini teams. The pace is accelerating. So some companies are calling it intensity, right? Um, I think that's where the culture of the company is so important more than ever. Um, I think you can create more pace, you can create more intensity, but at the end of the day, you gotta have a culture which is allowing the the product companies to continue to produce innovative products, right? You you the you have to keep always in mind your clients, what they need, and how you can create that future user experience in innovation to keep your leading position in the industry and the market. So, yes, we are accelerating. Culture is going to be very important to keep that acceleration going.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. One of the things we really see is, teams that are, honestly more product centered. And when I say product centered, it's not an exclusion of any of the other functions, but when they
Yeah.
think product first and customer first, that really helps with those cultural components.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because if you keep that customer solving mentality up in front of, whatever technology you lay on the background, whatever data, whatever AI, you pick your tech of choice, it will, as long as you continue to solve the customer problems, then the magic happens.
Yes.
Speaking of
Absolutely.
which, what should CPOs have on their watch lists for innovations in technology?
I think I see three things. First, and we already talked a little bit about it, they need to prioritize. It's what I call customer driven outcomes.
Mhm,
For me, that's kind of the first thing they need to have on their watch list. They absolutely must prioritize understanding and meeting customer needs, translating those needs into successful products, and we really consistently reframe conversations and actions toward what value they are bringing to the client. Um, it's really client value and making sure that all the organization is focused on that. The second thing I again, talking to my partners, talking to my clients, the second thing I see as being on the watch list is probably what I call security or cybersecurity. Um, I think security has to be a top priority right now for the chief product officers.
mm,
I think they need to be with all these acceleration, and we talked about pace before, but with this acceleration of technologies, with this acceleration of actually confidence in technologies, um, they need to be prepared. They need to be prepared for some, I would say, types of cyber attacks on their products, um, and and that part is sometimes a little bit on the back burner. I would say
mhm, mhm,
a little bit too much, um, because we used to live in a world where technology was not that sophisticated, and it was having a security strategy was um, I wouldn't say easy, but it was pretty standard.
mhm.
Moving forward with the rise of these new technologies, I think security has to be a top priority for our CPOs. Um, and then I would say the number three is, as we are seeing a lot of new platforms being born and the new components and new everything from the ecosystem. I think CPOs today should consider how to best exploit their ecosystem of partners and how to exploit new platforms and components that are going to help us to drive, that are going to help them to drive innovation and efficiency. So for me, it's these three things: customer driven outcomes, security, and ecosystem partners and ecosystem platforms. That
And
my advice to for these CPOs to have on their watch list.
yeah, I love that. I want to spend a second. What do you mean by ecosystem? So, is that like you take your core platform and you continue to augment it with other platforms so that you basically get one plus one equals three? Like,
Yes,
is that
this
what
is
you're talking
exactly
about?
what I mean. And it's moving so fast. Almost every week or every day there is an announcement of a new platform a new software, a new technology, which I think chief product officers can leverage, right?
Yeah.
So they need to be. And by the way, at Capgemini, we are inviting a lot of our clients in what we call our applied innovation exchange, and this is really what we are doing. We are really bringing all the ecosystem of partners that we have in terms of any topic, cryptocurrency, AI, a number of things, and we are trying to make sure that nothing is missed in terms of picking the right technology for a specific outcome. So we do that as a global consulting company. But I think this is kind of an advice I would give to each chief product officer, is to really make sure they consider the best components of this platform to drive better innovation for their companies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope I'm clear.
Yes, yes. Well, let me tell you what I'm hearing you say. One of the things chief product officers are constantly doing again, to keep up with this pace of
Yes,
innovation is you're always looking, do I do I make it? Do I buy it? Or do I partner? And what I'm hearing you
yes,
say is there's an opportunity to partner and buy to
yes,
accelerate their
yes,
innovation and leapfrog their current capabilities. That's what I'm hearing. Did I get it?
yes, absolutely. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do.
No, no.
No.
And partnering with somebody like a Capgemini obviously is going to be high on the list in that scenario for sure.
Yeah.
So, shifting gears a little bit, a lot of the chief product officers have mentioned to me that they're starting to see a blurring of roles, um, not necessarily at the C level, but maybe one level below, where a product manager can now actually, using the latest and greatest AI tools, create
Mm-hmm.
a working application to test a concept on
Yeah.
one side. And then on the other side, a product manager can use another type of tool to create multiple versions of a user experience so they can go
Mm-hmm.
test that.
Yeah.
So, in both of those scenarios, the product manager can now very quickly, without having to wait, ideate almost real time by creating, lack of other words, A/B testing at the app level and at the experience level.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Well,
And this is what we were mentioning at the beginning. I think the responsibility of the product manager was in the past very fragmented, very fragmented. It was very difficult. The lines were very clear. I remember when I started my career as a product manager, uh, you had we were a product team of 10 people, and each of us were having very uh, focused responsibilities, and we were not being. It was very difficult in terms of knowledge or tools to actually get this end-to-end responsibility that they can have now, right? It was very challenging.
it was
If I were,
impossible. I'll
well,
even say it was impossible, right?
it was
Like,
impossible.
you didn't
The
have the
tools were
skills.
different, the knowledge was different,
Uh,
the education was different. Now, you can have what you were describing is really an end-to-end visibility on everything, right? So you're absolutely right. The role of the product manager is increasing. It's getting wider, um, and um, that that is changing everything, I think. for the future. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, fascinating and definitely worth watching. I would say even within the last year, literally
Hmm.
a year, it's an exponential growth on what a PM can do without an engineer writing a single line of code. It's
Yes,
amazing.
yes, 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 exactly.
So
That's really incredible. I would love to be starting my career now.
I know. I know, I know. And you know what's really interesting about it is, obviously we talked to a ton of product managers, product leaders, and I would say a good one third of them, two-thirds of them get it. They're already on board. They're already using the tools and they see the way. And
Yeah.
then there's the one third that's frightened, right? And
Yes.
and this scares
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And the advice we give is just dive in. The fundamental knowledge and need of a product manager actually can't be replaced by a tool.
Yes. Yes.
What are your
Yes.
thoughts?
Well, I think this is not the only challenge that is waiting for the product managers or the CPOs. Um, I think you see a lot since I would say since 6 months. You see a lot of first um, economic and market uncertainty overall, right?
Mm,
So I think these CPOs and product managers, they are going to have to be more adaptable, right? And they're going to have to navigate the economic fluctuations and the market volatility in 2025, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, which means focusing on building resilience and profitable products, right? So that's number one. So I see a lot of stress right now, saying with all these things are changing in the world, how can I be resilient not only on my product design but my future product supply chain, right? So that's number one. Then you have what we talked about, AI and security, right? They have to they have also to balance the formidable features and capabilities and acceleration they have with AI, and at the same time, making sure that you can trust these new technologies, right? So there is a trust AI and a trust balance.
yeah,
The other thing they have to do is, and I see it with a lot of my clients, is you have to reskill a lot of people in your company for the new AI era, right?
yeah, yeah.
As
Well,
AI becomes embedded in all your product developments, you got to make sure that your product teams are actually understanding these technologies, because this is creating a lot of potential anxieties in a lot of companies, right?
yeah. I,
Um,
by the way, I really, really appreciate that reskilling comment.
mhm.
I don't know if the skill itself has changed, but certainly the tools are changing. The speed and best practices are changing, and
Yes,
finding a way to make sure that you're staying on top of what the new bar is, because if you're not, there's really kind of scary implications.
yes,
You get left
yes.
behind.
So not only you have to reskill, but you have to keep up
Yeah.
with the tech trends, right? I mean, this is not new, because every company in the world has to keep up with the pace of technology changes. But I think it requires, now that I think we've proven that it's accelerating, right?
Yes.
I think the CPOs and their teams, they absolutely need to stay informed and really adapt their strategies accordingly. This has to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally, in all this world which is changing with these challenges or opportunities, there is one thing that really stays very true is, I think, the chief product officers and everybody in charge of product development and new products, they have to effectively communicate with their stakeholders, with their CXOs, with their boards, to really ensure, because remember, the companies are kind of nervous about the future.
Yeah.
So they need to communicate more with their stakeholders to make sure that people are going to continue to follow and put the money in the investments of these products. There is an investment, there is a money aspect in the challenges of the CPOs, which is these days is non-negligible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Say a little more about that. Where do the challenges lay, and what are you seeing in terms of the best practice on how to navigate it from a budget
so
perspective?
it is very simple. It's because we talked about market uncertainty, right?
Mhm.
And with these geopolitical changes, um, the C-suite right now is a bit nervous about the future, right? And it means that the investment money is basically looking at very, very carefully, more than 5 years ago. So you can see that the people who are going to be succeeding in the future are going to be the people who have their strategy right. They have really defined their customer outcome, the value they want to bring with their clients, the products they are going to invest in, but in a very focused manner, in a very efficient manner. So that ability of a CPO or product manager to manage expectation of the stakeholders of a company is absolutely going to be critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy.
Otherwise, you take the risk of a disconnect, and then questions are being asked. Why are you spending all this money on this product, on this new feature? We are not sure it's going to bring more clients in the coming 2 years. You see what I mean? The stake is very high for these big investments on new products. Very high.
Yes. Yes, of course. In uncertain times, the need for communicating what I'm hearing is like completely elevated and escalated.
Yeah.
Continue to stay aligned with your partners
Yes.
internally. Well, listen, Jean-Claude, this has been an amazing conversation, a lot to think about for chief product officers. Any last words of wisdom or advice for any chief product officers and or aspiring chief product officers that may be listening?
Yes, I think last point. I'm coming back on the culture and the employee empowerment.
Mm,
Um, I personally had very, very good experience in that domain internally at Capgemini, or also with clients, where when you create a culture that really prioritize employee empowerment, employee innovation, or strong sense of purpose, you really create. I mean, these companies tend to produce excellent products, right? And achieve strong financial success. So my recommendation to chief product officers is make sure that you create such a positive culture to achieve these outcomes.
Yeah.
I've seen amazing results on that standpoint. Amazing results. And I'm lucky. I'm part of a company, Capgemini, who has very, very strong values. And this is what I've been staying more than 29 years. Actually, I'm going to be 30 years next year at Capgemini.
Wow. That's
Because
staying power.
I really embrace this innovation culture, this leadership culture. And I'm recommending all CPOs to drive this this positive culture and this culture which will enable them to be a leader in their industry and their markets. I wanted to mention that in that interview.
Yeah, I'd love that. Jean-Claude, it's been so insightful, so many nuggets of advice from how to prepare for the acceleration to how to drive to a meaningful culture all the way down. I think we even hit metrics. I think we touched almost
Yes.
everything. But I just want to conclude by thanking you for the partnership. Without Capgemini's partnership, we absolutely would not be able to continue to track the chief product officer journey and your investment in the chief product officer is certainly one that is worthwhile and appreciated by all. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Renee. It's been absolutely a pleasure. Great discussion. I hope we will continue that discussion in front of a good glass of French wine next time, right?
Or maybe California Chardonnay. Pick yours.
Maybe California wine. There are many, many very good wines in California too. So thank you for your time, and talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is ST Moadi again, founder and chair of Products That Count. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on your favorite platform, including Spotify and Apple. And please check out our other resources at productsthatcount.org. They're designed to accelerate your product career and make product the most important function in business. Until soon.